Here's what happened in gaming in this weekly roundup video. And before we get started, this is a format that I want to try out where I take all the information from the week and put it in one long video, and if there are any updates or I need to make corrections, I would do it all here. Anyways, let's get started. Let's begin with Nintendo's Direct. Earlier this week, they announced that they were going to be making a Nintendo Direct that was going to be focused on Donkey Kong. And a bit of clarification, in my original video, I said that it was going to be a Direct and it was going to be about just Donkey Kong. And people took that to mean that I meant Donkey Kong was garbage. But that's not what I meant. What I was actually trying to say is that people were hoping that the Direct was going to be about many games and it was only going to be about Donkey Kong. Not that Donkey Kong wasn't worth talking about, it's just that Donkey Kong was one game and people wanted to hear about new games. But with the Direct, we got a lot of really cool information. We learned about new gameplay mechanics like being able to transform to different animals that'll have different powers. And in the original trailer, there was this little rock companion that we saw, and it actually turns out to be Pauline, who's from the original game and from New Donk City in Odyssey, which, surprise, surprise, the team that made Odyssey is also the one making this game. Graphically, it looks beautiful, it looks like it's going to be really in-depth and a lot of fun to play, and it got people really excited about the game. Even though they were already excited, now the hype is real. Moving on to Rockstar news, apparently they're going to drop some really big news, and the voice actor of John Marston from Red Dead Redemption said that he knows what it is and he's super excited to share, but he's not allowed. He really drummed up some hype saying that people's minds were going to be blown and that he really wished he could say something, but to not worry because we would find out by the end of Friday, except it's already Saturday and we haven't heard anything, so maybe he meant next Friday. And this lit the internet on fire because people started to assume that this meant some kind of remake of the original Red Dead Redemption, or maybe that we were going to get Red Dead Redemption 2 on the Switch too, but either way we have no idea and people are really excited, and hopefully it wasn't something that he spoke that he wasn't supposed to be talking about. Minecraft got its vibrant visual update, which was an update to the lighting of the game. And with this update you would get new lighting, new volumetric fog, and better atmospheres depending on the biome that you're in, and it was going to be available on everything except for the Switch, and it's available now. And back to Switch 2 news, someone broke into the back of a transport truck as it was getting ready to deliver a bunch of Switch 2's to different GameStops. When the truck driver realized something was wrong, they opened the back of the truck and realized that there were 2,800 Switch 2's stolen, a full pallet, and it amounts to $1.4 million. The police are investigating, but people are more curious as to why people would do this, because Nintendo is incredibly strict about their consoles and they keep track of all serial numbers, so it's very obvious that they would know which consoles were stolen from this truck. And that means that if somebody turned on one of these consoles, Nintendo would immediately know, and they would ban or break the console, and the police would probably get involved. And even if you're innocent, it's just a big headache to have to deal with the police if you get caught with one of these consoles. It seems like a really big risk for pretty much no reward. In Borderlands news, we got the price for Borderlands 4. People have been speculating how much Borderlands 4 was going to cost, and they were all concerned that it was going to be an $80 game because that's what the rumors were saying. And someone was so concerned that they tweeted out to Randy Pitchford saying, "Don't make the game this price because nobody will buy it, and I want this game to succeed." And Randy responded by saying, "I have no choice in that, and if you're a real fan, you'll make it happen." And nobody liked that news. But Take-Two revealed the price, and it's going to be $70. Even though it's only $10 less than the $80 price point, people are happy that it's not going to be $80. But of course, the internet is going to internet, and people started to speculate that Randy Pitchford was playing 4D chess, that he did this to make people mad so then they wouldn't be mad when they found out it was $70. And other people assumed that he wanted to make it $80 and the backlash forced him to make it $70. I think it's fun to think that Take-Two actually planned to make it $80 and then Randy Pitchford opened his big mouth and then they were forced to make it $70, and that would be a fun conspiracy theory. But the reality is, Randy Pitchford doesn't set the price of anything and he has no real power. And I genuinely believe that it was always going to be $70 and it was just Randy Pitchford being Randy Pitchford, and because he's completely inept, he just made a big mess for no reason. Sales numbers for Switch 2 games have been coming out, and people are worried that the keycards are having a really drastic impact. According to the numbers that we have so far, only 40% of sales have actually been for third-party games, and everything else has basically been Mario Kart, and people think that that's a really alarming sign. And of course, people use this for clickbait to get a whole bunch of views, and they completely glossed over all the information that you need to have so you can see why this makes sense. Because although it is bad that only Mario Kart has 60% of the sales, you have to remember that the game is actually $80, so more people are going to buy the bundles, and these numbers include the bundle pack in game. There's also the small detail that the Switch 1 only had 20% of their sales go towards third party, so it's actually better on the Switch 2 than it was on the original Switch. But the biggest detail is it's only been 2 weeks. We don't really have a lot of games using keycards, and we can't really make a judgment based on a very small sample size. So anybody that's saying that third party games are going to die on the Switch 2 because of the keycards is just trying to rage bait and use clickbait to get you to watch their videos because they don't know what they're talking about. In Death Stranding 2 news, we found out that the game was actually too good, so Hideo Kojima wanted to make it worse. Death Stranding 2 comes out in about 2 weeks, and everybody has been interviewing Hideo Kojima to drum up hype, but to also find out about this game because, you know, his games are always so weird. Well, when discussing the production of the game, Hideo Kojima said that the game testers gave him reviews that were amazing, that the game was wonderful, and he hated to hear that. So as soon as he found out that the game was good, he decided to go back and rewrite a whole bunch of the story so that way it would be more confusing. But he has a good reason. You see, Hideo Kojima isn't really a regular game developer, and he's always dreamed to be an artist, specifically a Hollywood artist. So when questioned why he would make the game quote-unquote worse, he said that he felt that if it was already good, then it was formulaic. And when something is using a cookie cutter to make it good, it doesn't challenge people. And Hideo Kojima wants to challenge people by making them uncomfortable, making them confused, and making them rethink their stance. So in turn, he rewrote part of Death Stranding 2 because it was too good, and he hopes that the weirdness is going to make it better in the long run. And in our last piece of news, we're going to stick with the Switch 2. In the metro stations in the UK, some people spotted big billboards announcing Metroid Prime 4, and they noticed that it said, out now. And Metroid fans started to lose their minds because they thought that maybe Nintendo had shadow dropped Metroid Prime 4, but it turns out Nintendo didn't even know about this either. Now, in my original video, I said that they already took these down, but they didn't. But Nintendo did reach out to IGN and clarify that this was a mistake from the marketing team. The out now was supposed to go to a billboard about the Switch 2, not Metroid Prime 4. And so they said they're going to correct it as soon as possible, but Metroid Prime 4 still does not have a release date, and we don't know any other information, and they were really sorry for the mistake that they made. And that's what happened this week in gaming. Let me know in the comments below if this is a format that you like, where I take whatever happened all week and put it in one video that's easier to find rather than relying on the algorithm to show you every short video that I make, or if you prefer the little surprise of just scrolling and finding my videos out there. Let me know what you think.